It's the Hoffman Show on a Thursday here on the Team 980. Always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Tonight, Wizards basketball follows us. Tomorrow, we have the Capitals as Alex Ovechkin is just 3 goals away from Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. We'll have some coverage of that tomorrow. I think, Anthony, we might have to have Steve Wino on the show tomorrow. Because, one, Wino's the AP's national hockey writer and one of the best guys covering the NHL, period, out there at all. Two, apparently Wawa's expanding in Northern Virginia. I saw that headline today, and Steve Wino is also the Wawa correspondent in Washington, D.C. media. So it feels like we have to have Wino on the show tomorrow.
Let's do it, baby.
All right, so we'll do that tomorrow. But we're going to start today's show with a quiz for Anthony Haney. Anthony knows this quiz is coming, although he does not know what the quiz is going to be. And the premise here is to talk about the Commanders' options to acquire a playmaker, and specifically a running back, in the NFL draft. Because this has become a popular thing to mock to them, either running back at the end of the first round at 29 or certainly acquiring one in the second round. And so what I wanted to do was quiz Anthony on the recent history of the Commanders' leading rushers. So your quiz, Anthony, is going to be, very simply, can you name the leading rusher on the Washington franchise? We're going to go all the way back to Alfred Morris.
Okay.
And the Alfred Morris years. And what I want to do in doing this is 2 things. First, figure out how the Commanders acquired that player, right? So we're going to find out recently, how did they acquire their leading rushers? Did they spend high draft capital, no draft capital? Where do these guys come from? And then I think it's worth asking at the end of this quiz, was that even a useful exercise? Because do they need to actually be better in these categories? Because maybe we've discovered that, to get the leading rusher that has a pretty good season, you don't actually have to spend that much draft capital. But maybe if the Commanders had at times and had better playmakers, maybe they would have had better results. So let's go through and also we get to, have some fun along the way and see if Anthony can remember anything. I thought about doing recruit a third person and quiz us both, but I'm just going to quiz you, Anthony.
Okay.
Who was the Commanders' leading rusher last year?
Jaden Daniels.
That is correct. He was taken with the 2nd overall pick. He's also a quarterback, so a little bit different. Who was the Commanders' leading rusher in 2023? Hint, he was also their leading rusher in 2022.
Brian Robinson. That
is correct. So you have a 3rd-round pick who is your leading rusher, which I think is pretty common across the NFL. That you can find backs that if you give them carries, they will play pretty well. Now, 2 years ago was the Sam Howell, Eric Bieniemy year. They didn't rush for anything. Their rushing yard rankings were terrible. Their offense was absolutely god-awful. But 2 years ago, the final year of Scott Turner, Brian Robinson had a pretty decent year. Brian Robinson in the past 2 years, or I should say the past 3 years, 2022 was his rookie year, had 797 yards. 2023, he had 733 yards, despite the fact that he had, so that's what, 60-something less yards on 30-something less carries. So, or maybe it was 28 less carries. The average floating right around 4 yards per. Last year with a better running game overall, split the difference on carries, had a career high 799 yards. It's just that Jaden had more.
Yeah.
So Brian Robinson currently the leader in the clubhouse. The previous 2 years, 2021, 2020, who was the Washington football team's leading rusher? And at that time, that's not me making a joke. It was actually the Washington football team.
Antonio Gibson.
That is correct.
Okay.
Antonio Gibson in those 2 years. He had, 2020 and 2021, 795 and 1,037 yards. So that includes a 1,000-yard rushing season for Antonio Gibson in 2021. And he was a 3rd-round pick as well, if I'm remembering correctly.
Or late?
No, third round, 66th overall. Okay. So, again, 4 years in a row, rookie contract guys. Now we get fun. Who is the Commanders or the Washington franchise's leading rusher in 2019? He was also the leader in 2018.
2019 is Terry's rookie year.
Yes.
And you say he was the leading rusher in 2018 too.
Yes.
So it's not Chris Thompson.
No.
2018.
2018, he was over 1,000 yards.
2018. I'm blanking.
Adrian Peterson.
Oh my gosh.
So, free agent, signed in training camp, 1,042 yards in 2018, 898 in 2019.
God. Yeah, I definitely forgot AP was on our team.
Yep. That followed 2017 when who was the leading rusher?
I'm going to do bad. Rob Kelly.
Everything is relative.
Chris Thompson.
No, the fact that you just pulled Fat Rob Kelly is amazing. He's the correct answer in 2016. In 2017, with 603 yards, fourth-round pick, Samaje Perine.
Okay.
Was Washington's leading rusher. 2016.
Rob Kelly.
Rob Kelly. I used to have a Fat Rob sweatshirt and everything. Fat Rob had, man, I can't believe that dude only played 3 years in the league. 704 yards in his rookie season. Year before that.
This 2015?
2015.
2015. Is that Alfred Morris's last year?
That was Alfred Morris's last year. He was the leading rusher all the way back to his rookie year in 2012.
Yeah.
In those years, he had 751 yards rushing his final year in Washington, 1,000 yards 2014, 1,200 in 2013, 1,600 in 2012. So Alf was a sixth-round pick. Kelly, I believe, was an undrafted free agent. So taking Jaden Daniels out of it, you either have a training camp signee that you brought back in Adrian Peterson, who's obviously a first-round pick, but a decade prior, or a pair of third-round picks in Ryan Robinson and Antonio Gibson as your leading rushers. This is kind of how the NFL goes. By the way, Anthony, well done.
Thank you, sir.
Very, very well.
I was very upset, though, that Chris Thompson wasn't somewhere. Because I know I guess he caught a lot of passes out the backfield.
He did.
That's what it was.
I think in total yardage, he might have gotten a couple of those years. Certainly like the year that Perine had like 600 yards. Unless that was the year that Chris broke his leg in New Orleans. He probably was the team's leading all-purpose yards guy that year. Although that 2017, Deshaun might have still been here. Anyway, the point is, running back is a position where you can find guys that can do a job anywhere. Think of all the guys that have had big games here over the years. I think of all the different guys I covered. Guys like Capri Bibbs, who looked really good in short bursts. And that is the nature of that position. It is a position where there's a lot of dudes who grew up playing running back because they were the best athletes all over the country, got pared down at the college level, and then they get to the pros, and they can still do a lot of the running back stuff at a decently high level. And if they have a good O-line, if you're a good college running back, averaging 4 yards a carry in the NFL behind a good offensive line, relatively speaking to translating to other positions, is not that hard. What makes really great running backs, and what I think the question becomes for the Commanders in this draft, is there a guy that's distinctly better than that? Obviously, Ashton Genty is the souped-up golden version of it, right? He sees it better than most guys see it. He's quicker. He's stronger. He's got good speed. He also catches the ball out of the backfield. He also blocks. He's a true three-down player who can do everything. And if that's what you're looking for, that is rare. The other part of the running back equation and why spending early-round picks is typically not worth it is you want guys with early-round picks that you're going to want to give a second contract to. And the nature of the position is you typically don't want to give a running back a second contract because most of them are not worth it. It becomes a quick diminishing returns. You pay a guy a bunch of money because he's produced, and then he falls off the age cliff, and you're in trouble. Now you got to go replace him with a rookie anyway. So this is the dilemma that I think the Commanders are in. Because I think that a really dynamic playmaking running back would go a long way to help Jaden Daniels in this offense. If you can have that easy button, you see what it does for even the best quarterbacks. I mean, I was going to say Jalen Hurts and getting Saquon, but their offensive line, everything, I'm going to say it's a unique situation, but it's a fairly unique situation. But think about how much Drew Brees was helped over the years, right? Drew Brees, I'm not trying to take anything away from Drew Brees. Hall of Famer, first ballot, as he should be, one of the greats, holds, passing records, the whole deal. But Brees had Mark Ingram. He had Alvin Kamara. He had, I think early, he had Deuce McAllister.
Yep.
Going all the way back. They always, with Sean Payton, could run the football. And I think you see in Denver how much Sean Payton can take a guy, and they want to upgrade dramatically at running back. And I think that also is like kind of the point, right? Last year they found some young guys who could play enough for them to support Bo Nix, who's no Drew Brees, at least not yet. And they're looking this year in the draft, and they're like, can we please get Omarion Hampton at 20? Like, because Sean Payton wants a dynamic playmaker. He realizes how helpful it can be. So, again, not saying that, Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, like that, that's when he was at his absolute best, is when you could play off of that running game. And you have guys that can just be an easy button for your quarterback. And so for guys like Travion Henderson, who are kind of up in that range of like, is this guy a fringe first-round pick? I don't hate the idea for Washington if there's nobody else on defense, especially that you feel really strongly and passionately about. But I'm also wary of overspending when you can find maybe not great players, but really, really, really good backs. 3rd, 4th, 5th, Alfred Morris, 6th round, basically every year in the draft. So this is kind of the question that I have for folks on the phones. 301-230-0980. Let's say the Commanders use one of their first 2 picks on a running back. You good with that? 301-230-0980. Anthony and I will chime in more heavily, and we'll take your calls next. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. So, Commanders undoubtedly could use a playmaker in the upcoming NFL draft or two. And I think that limiting it to just wide receiver is probably a little bit silly. I think it's unrealistic. I think you could see one at tight end. I think you see one at running back. It's just going to depend how the board falls. But I think the thing that's worth pointing out when it comes to tight ends and running backs, specifically compared to wide receivers, is star receivers are expensive. Like, really expensive. Like, Jamar Chase just became the highest paid non-quarterback in football. Expensive. Tight ends, relatively cheap. Running backs, relatively cheap. So if you take one on a rookie deal, the discount is not nearly as steep as finding one in free agency. And depending on what your winning window is, the development time and all that kind of stuff, this all factors in. That said, you get your stars in the draft, and if you think you got a star at running back, do you pull the trigger? If Colston Loveland falls to you somehow, the Michigan tight end at 29, I think you're doing backflips because there's your Zach Ertz replacement that can hopefully grow with Jaden Daniels for the next decade. I don't think he's going to get there, but we'll see. So if the Commanders went at 29 or in the second round at 61 running back, how'd you feel about that? 301-230-0980 is the phone number, 301-230-0980. Let's go to George. George, thanks for calling. Get us started. You're on the Hoffman Show.
So, Craig, normally I'd say I agree with you. You know, fourth round, sixth round, you can get yourself a good running back. But, I mean, Peters has so much leeway right now. I've given him so much benefit of the doubt right now because of what he pulled off last year that if he finds a guy late, you know, like at 29, running back, and he says that's the guy, I'm going to say if he says that's the guy, then that's the guy because he showed me a lot. What I said to Anthony really quickly on the phone, though, is that I don't understand what is it about Chris Rodriguez that they don't like because every time I see him out there, the guy will flash. And, you know, he's not Saquon Barkley, but I think I thought he'd be the starting running back over Robinson. So I'm not sure I see what it is that they don't see. So,
I think it's a fair question because he's produced pretty well, and I think his attitude is exactly what they want. And I think there's a lot of great stuff with Chris Rodriguez. George, thanks for the call. I'm gonna let you hang up and listen. George hung up himself, so I didn't have to let him hang up and listen. George, hope you're still listening. I think Chris is just limited as a player. He's not the greatest pass catcher. He's not super elusive in space. He doesn't have great top end speed, and his blocking, I would say, goes in waves. It's not a willingness thing. It's a do you see it? Do you execute? Do you know what your assignment is? And he's missed some over the years. And I don't know what his meeting habits and things are. I'm guessing those are pretty good because DQ was really, really complimentary of him when Chris came in and got his opportunity last year and was like, man, this guy stayed ready. He came to work. He's professional. And I think he even got his opportunity in a week after they had to cut him on Friday. And they were like, hey, man, we're going to bring you back in the practice squad on Monday, or we're going to have to bring you back on Monday. And next thing you know, he's playing major minutes the next week. And so I think there's a lot there's a lot of good stuff with Chris Rodriguez, but he's a fairly limited player versus Robinson is a little bit more juice, a little bit more pop. He's more consistent. And some of the other stuff he does is at a higher level than Rodriguez. But I think that's also kind of the point. Like, there's not a huge difference between the two. B-Rob, I think, is an athlete you look at and you're like, oh, that guy, versus Chris Rodriguez, shorter, squattier. B-Rob's just like a big freaking dude who moves really well. He's super smooth in how he gets in and out of cuts and all that kind of stuff. B-Rob was a third rounder. Chris Rodriguez was a sixth rounder. And like the difference in production between the two is not enormous if they were to be given the same opportunities, in my opinion. And so, of course, you want the guy who's better, the guy who can do more, the guy that's less limiting for your offense. But that is kind of the question you're ultimately asking is, okay, let's say we can definitely get a better running back in the first round than we can in the third round or the fourth round. How much better? And then you ask the question in reverse, if I'm passing up on a pass rusher, an offensive lineman, or whatever, understanding the drop off later and kind of trying to do your best to predict how the rest of the draft is going to play out is also a pretty paramount part of your success as a GM and as someone running a draft room. And the depth at running back in this class, but also in most classes, is there where it's a little thinner at some other positions. 301-230-0980. Let's go to Sean in Cincinnati. Sean, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show. What do you think about the Commanders taking a running back early in the draft later this month?
Hey, Greg. So I have a hard time personally thinking that they'll do anything besides defense with the first pick. Even if they trade back, if it's a high second rounder, they'll probably still take an edge rusher or a quarterback, in my opinion. But I'd be extremely happy if they were able to get Trivion or any of the other guys, like you said, it's a deeper class that's got speed, because I think it would be great if they were able to do a sort of a Lions combo with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but have Brian Robinson be kind of your bruiser and get some speed out of the draft. Just have teams really not be able to withstand a rushing attack if you have sort of a 1-2 combo like that, or even like a Lamar and
Derrick Henry
situation where it's like you've got two runners that you got to respect, and Lamar is also a top tier passer. So I think if they were to do something with the first or second pick, and then you really transform the offense into something like the Ravens or the Lions, where defenses are much more scared of you with both the run attack and the pass attack, instead of just having to worry about Jaden himself. So I think that would be a great outcome of the draft. I'd be happy with either of those.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting thought, and thanks for the call, man. Really appreciate it, Sean. I think the other thing to think about, too, is, every evaluator is going to look at something a little different. And that's something else I want to point out about this running back position when we get back. I just pulled up 3 different running back lists, and you're not going to believe how different they are. And then the secondary point on that is, what do we actually do with that information? 301-230-0980. We'll take more of your calls as well next on the Team 980. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Jeremy Green, who might be one of the most insightful, but also one of the funniest draft analysts covering the NFL, he's going to join us at 5 o'clock, courtesy of Take Command. We talked to Jeremy this morning, Anthony, for an hour 15.
An hour 15. Good gracious.
Yeah, we just got going. And I was like, this is too good to stop. So we're just going to keep on going. And the dude is hilarious. I want to make Tony go through the entire episode and just pull out every single Jeremy-ism that happened. Because dude's from Asheville, North Carolina, big, thick beard, big old country accent, had a background as a stand-up comic. And now he does like incredible, like to give you an idea of the level of detail Jeremy gets into, he, like we asked him about edge players and he goes, well, do you want true pass rushing edges or do you want 5 techniques? And we're like, now you're talking our Take Command kind of language. And so we got into some good granular detail, but he also would just have these sayings that were hilarious. And I just want a compilation of all of them.
Well, I can't wait.
If you decide to listen and you want to mark down all the timestamps, I'll cut it.
All right.
Or I'll make Tony do it. Just, we'll have someone do it. Real quick breaking news coming through right now. Cardinals are making Pro Bowl tight end Trey McBride the highest paid tight end in NFL history. 4-year, $76 million extension for McBride. So good for Trey McBride. Commanders, they certainly would love a Trey McBride type of player. Where was Trey McBride drafted, Anthony?
3rd round?
I believe that's correct. Draft. He was 2nd rounder, 55th overall. So end of the 2nd round. And that's kind of the thing. You can find weapons everywhere, but at times, guys are special. And is it worth it to take, say, a halfback at the top of the bottom of the 1st round or in the 2nd round at the top of your draft? But Anthony, I think the harder thing too, or one of the hard things to figure out is like which guy. And this is the part where I'm hesitant with where the Commanders are, unless one of 2 guys falls. Everyone agrees Ashton Jeanty is the top guy in this class, and Omarion Hampton is really special as well, the running back out of North Carolina, and he's 2nd. But here's PFF's rankings, okay? And I just picked 3 random ones. There's a bunch out there. But start with PFF. So I guess these are Trevor's rankings. Trevor Sikkema. Ashton Jeanty, Omarion Hampton. Cam Scatterbo is his next highest back. Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State. Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. He's got as the 70th player on his board. Okay? Jeremy Green, the guy that I was just talking about that you'll hear from at 5 o'clock, he's got Jeanty, Hampton. He's got Caleb Johnson 3rd, Cam Scatterbo 4th, Henderson 5th, Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State 6th, and then Junkins 7th. By the way, where is the K-State kid on, or not K-State? What did I say? Get in, yeah, the dude who's 6th on Jeremy's board, Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. Where is he even on? He's Trevor's 207th player.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's a little bit different. Then you have Scouts Inc., ESPN scouting service. They've got Jeanty 1, Hampton 2, Travion Henderson 3, Quinshon Judkins 4, Caleb Johnson 5, Scatterbo 6, Sampson 7, and then guys on down the list. They've got, the 24th best back they've got is Ollie Gordon.
Man.
Jeremy Green's got him 6th. And that's the kind of thing, and I'm not just like picking on one guy, but like there's people that really, really like Jadon Blue, the Texas back. There's people that really, really like Trevor Etienne, the Georgia back, Travis's brother. So there's a guy named Marcus Yams. Or no, sorry, it's Yarns. The R and the N looked like it was M's. And I was like, if dude's name is Marcus Yams, that's a halfback name. That's like a Madden created player name.
Yeah.
Marcus, you might need to change your name. But the point is, like, there's a bunch of dudes in this draft. I mean, I remember, who said it? It might have been Dane Brugler, who was like, last year, I thought Jordan James out of Oregon was better than Bucky Irving when I watched him in the same offense. And then Bucky came out and was a 1,000-yard back as a rookie in Tampa. So I think that's kind of the struggle for me and where I ultimately come down here on the first-round pick, spending it on a back. If it's not Hampton or Genty, I don't know that I'm getting that much better of a player. And I think that the depth of the class and the options that exist are probably not worth using that pick on, even if I think they definitely need to take a running back somewhere in this draft. Because, Anthony, you reminded me of this in the break. They don't have any backs under contract in 2026. So getting someone who can have some continuity from year 2 or year 1 to year 2 is probably good, because you might re-sign Eckler if he continues to play. You might bring back Robinson. You got guys like Chris Rodriguez floating around. And you also have some of the practice squad guys that were around last year. I'm now blanking totally on his name. The kid from USC. Austin something. Him. Might not be Austin. Kid from USC. Had a good preseason. Never got a snap. He's still floating around on the practice squad and is on the 90-man roster. What happens if he takes a leap and makes the team? So I think that's kind of the thing where I'm at with running back, is there's just too many options, too many ways that unless you're getting someone that you think is truly, 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 truly special, it's not worth the first-round pick to invest in that spot.
But you'd be willing to invest in that spot in the second round.
If the guy's the best player on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? If the guy that you've got is the best player on the board, or if you think TreVeyon Henderson is that special, then sure. If you think he's a first-round talent, this is how this goes, right? Ultimately, you got to be right about the player, but what doesn't change is the reward. If you're right or not, what does change is the risk, position over position. Because if you miss on an offensive tackle at 29, a lot of those guys, one, it's an easier position to evaluate. Tackle is offensive line is often thought to be the easiest position to evaluate. So you're not doing as much projection. But also, a lot of times you take that tackle, and especially at 29, it's one thing when you do it at 5, looking at you, Brandon Sheriff and Scott McCloughan. But if you do it at 29 and he fails at tackle, it's all right, well, we got a guard at least. We got a starter. Or we got a swing tackle, maybe. But hopefully you got a starter at tackle. You do it at running back and you miss, it's there's probably going to be 4 other running backs that got taken that are going to have good careers later, if not 6. And the chances of you finding a good running back later are pretty high. The chances of you finding a good edge or a good tackle later, the premium positions that tend to go earlier, a good corner later, that's a lot harder of a sell. So 301-230-0980 is the phone number. We'll get back to the phones and whether or not you think that Commanders spending a first-round pick especially, but even a second-round pick on a running back is wise or not. Next. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. We're brought to you by the DC Defenders. Spring football is in full bloom. The DC Defenders take on the Memphis Showboats in the Blossom Bowl at Audi Field this Saturday, April 5th. It's a cherry blossom celebration. Get your tickets now at ufldefenders.com/tickets. That's ufldefenders.com/tickets. We go back to the phones at 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980. We're asking you about taking a running back in the first or second round for the Commanders. Let's go to Ray in Clinton. Ray, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
What's up, Hoffman? What's going on with you?
Not too much, bro. Appreciate you calling in. What you got for me on this running back question?
My first or second round, if it's not a Marion Hampton, no, I'm not going to swing on that because you got 13 running backs, man, and the top 13 running backs, all of them 1,000-yard rushers. So I mean, Marion Hampton and Aston Gentry, they special. You take a swing for them, but other than that, man, you got to pick your you need to draft for need or best player available. You know, right now we don't need a running back, but would you like to have a better running back? Of course you do. Do you need an edge rusher? Yes, you do. Would you like to have a better edge rusher? Yes. It's a whole lot of other positions that we could draft in that first round other than running back. If it's not if it's a Marion Hampton, I'm getting it. Anybody else or any other running back, no. I'm going to wait because you have, that's like I said, the top 13 running backs that's rated, everybody's rating, all of them have 1,000 yards rushing. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that they coming into the league that's going to have 1,000 yards rushing, but at least they know the concept of the game. You know, it's just that the NFL is a whole lot faster. They just got to get a whole lot faster in their thought process. But me, if it's not a Marion Hampton, no, and I'm out. Bye.
All right, thanks, Ray. I see you. All right, he's gone. Bye, Ray. Dang, Ray.
He dropped the mic.
He did. I thought he was a great call. I thought he correct points. I agree with his take. It's almost like Ray came in looking for a fight.
Very emphatic.
I was like, I got nothing to fight you on, bro. Like you've nailed the nature of the running back position. There's a lot of dudes that have had a lot of success, and a lot of that tends to carry over to the league. And unless you get a guy that's really special, paying a premium for something that is replaceable is economically stupid. So there's that. Also, just real quick for, to emphasize this point too, in terms of like the long-term view of like first round pick guy, you want to be a part of your team for 10 years, ideally, right? The second contract for running backs, very, very squirrely often. Guys like Saquon, fine. That dude can have a second contract. Most guys, you don't necessarily want to give a second contract. And even at the tight end position, if you make, hold on, I need to do some math here real quick. 29th pick, 2024 draft. 29th pick was Tyler Guyton. Okay, so now I need Tyler Guyton's contract. Tyler Guyton contract. I promise this is going somewhere Commanders adjacent, and it also coincides with news that broke 5 minutes ago. So last year, Guyton as a rookie counted 2.3 against the cap. In year 4, he'll count 4.1 against the cap. Okay? So we're talking probably a $4.5 million player with the cap hike, maybe a $5 million player 4 years from now. Okay? Trey McBride just signed the richest contract for a tight end in NFL history. It's 19 a year. So even if you take Colson Loveland, which would be a steal at 29, like really exceptional pass catching tight end, outstanding route runner, like played at a big program, made big catches, has some blocking ability. You're getting that at a quarter of the price, right? Of the average annual value, not even a quarter of the price. Because that first year, Guyton made 2.3. So you're talking about 2.5, 2.8 probably this year for that 29th pick. If you're getting an edge rusher for that, and Myles Garrett's now making 40, Trey Hendrickson's probably going to sign for the low 30s. You got other dudes that are signing 34, even the high 20s. Way different kind of discount. 1/10, 1/20th of the price. So that's another factor in this, is the value of that versus the value of taking a more premium position and what that allows you to spend on other positions. 301-230-0980. Let's wrap up with a couple more calls. Gary's been patiently waiting. Gary, 2 days in a row for you, bro. I don't know if we can keep meeting like this.
I know. I'm lucky to be in the car, man. Hey, look, thanks for taking my call. I agree with you. I don't think they should take a running back with one of the first two picks. I'm still on the defense, man. I don't think they've upgraded the defense, and they've signed a bunch of one-year deals with these guys. I think that every level, the defensive line with an edge rusher, a linebacker, Bobby Wagner, he's not going to be there forever. And in the secondary, I think they need to focus on the defense. They've taken some heavy hits and swings on the offense. Again, this offense averaged 29 points a game last year. Now, they're going to have to adjust, and they may not be as good this year. But the defense is what they need to focus on, in my opinion. If there's a great wide receiver out there, fine. But in the first two picks of running back, I think there are other running backs out there. I think the league has shown that you can have good to great running backs in the third, fourth, fifth rounds. And I'm kind of comfortable with the running back room. I mean, I think it could be better, but with Eckler, I thought Eckler was washed up. I was completely wrong. And, Robinson, he's not the guy that we want him to be, but he's not a bad running back. It's not worth the first-round pick, in my opinion, or the second-round pick. The only thing that gives me hesitation is I'm not 100% sold that Peters is a guy that can find someone in the later rounds of the draft. Right now, his record on that front is spotty. He was great in free agency, got Jaden, but third, fourth, fifth rounds, there's still an open question.
So based off last year's draft class here, Gary, yes. Some of the dudes he found in San Francisco, especially early, their draft record in San Francisco is not as stellar as I would like it to be, consistency-wise, but, he found Kittle in the fifth. He found Warner in the third. Hufanga, who before he got hurt was an all-pro. I think he was a fifth-rounder as well. So, he's got, and a lot of those guys are credited that those were Adam finds. I think he's money in late, or can be money in late rounds, but he's got to do it. And that's the same for anybody in any profession doing anything. It's one thing to have the skill set. It's another to execute it with regularity, especially in something that's as crapshooty as the NFL draft.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, because I have a bunch of San Francisco friends, and they don't give him credit for those. Okay, they don't give him credit for those late round picks, and I
the
guess
people that cover the team do. That seems relevant.
Yeah, that's true. But he hasn't done it here. The fact that we're talking about a pass catching tight end. Okay, we just drafted one that was supposed to be that last year. We're talking about getting another wide receiver. Okay, we drafted one last year. He just, in my opinion, he hasn't shown it here in Washington at least. But I agree with you. I don't think they should do running back. I'm just a little hesitant of him finding someone in the later rounds based on what he did last year.
I hear you. And as usual, Gary, I think you bring up good points that are interesting for fodder. I'm gonna let you run, and we'll catch up another time. I think the thing about late round picks is they take time to develop. And that's the definition of a late round pick. We're going to let you hear some of Jeremy Green appearing on Take Command earlier today, and and his thoughts specifically on the receiver pool, which he is not very high on. And you've got to hear the Matthew Golden stat he has, the Texas wide receiver that I've kind of liked the idea of. And now I'm like, oh man, that is a piece of evidence that scares the bejesus out of me on Matthew Golden, the Texas receiver. So we'll play that for you next, and then we'll hit Never Read the Comments at 5:30. But we were talking about the process of prospect grading, and basically, Jeremy, I accidentally said the way Jeremy grades, and he's like, "I'm really glad you said that, because this is how it works. If you are a really good player that I think can play right now, and you can get better, that's a first-round player to me. If you are either a good player right now but have a limited upside, or I don't think you can play right now, but your ceiling's incredible. Now you're a second-round player. And then each layer of the onion, to use his analogy, that you peel back of readiness for now, upside for later, that basically drops you around. And so when you look at a guy like Luke McCaffrey, I think because of the pedigree, a lot of people look at Luke and they're like, oh, well, he should have been ready to play right away. That wasn't why they drafted Luke McCaffrey in the 3rd round. Luke McCaffrey is not a low-floor player. Luke McCaffrey was a quarterback 3 years ago at Rice. Then he transferred and became at Nebraska, and then transferred to Rice and started playing receiver and showed some promise. And their bet is on the pedigree and the traits. He's big. He's got good speed. He is going to play his face off. So there's some upside there, but he's still learning how to play receiver. And you're just hoping that his football IQ and somewhere deep inside him is some of his father, who is a Hall of Fame receiver, not to mention how good his brother is at it. But it's not like he's switching from running back to receiver. This dude was playing quarterback. And so him being a 3rd-round pick says more about his upside than it does about his currentness. Dominique Hampton, 5th-rounder. This is going to take multiple years for him to become the best version of himself if he's truly going to play linebacker in the NFL. We'll see. Jordan McGee, he's a guy that I think they thought could play a little bit more right now, but might have limited upside, and then he had injury issues, and then we'll see what it is in year 2. So I'm not disagreeing with Gary's point that Adam hasn't really proven that he can do it as the GM with late-round picks, because outside of Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who I thought played very well for a 7th-rounder, those guys haven't panned out yet. But what I probably would have told you this time, or I guess 11 months ago, the week after the draft last year, is that's how that's going to go. These guys are raw and they need time, because if they didn't, they would have been higher picks. That's the nature of late round picks. 301-230-0980. That's always the phone number. Save it in your phone. Don't dial it right now, because we're not taking any more calls until at least the 6 o'clock hour. But if you want to leave a comment on our YouTube page, that's a way you can still get your voice in the show, because Never Read the Comments is just half an hour away. But next, the aforementioned Jeremy Green on this year's wide receiver class, and why he is not very high on it for the Commanders, nor, frankly, anybody else. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Hit that subscribe button if you have not and you are watching there. It's also where you can get full episodes of Take Command, including our full hour 15. Yeah, hour 15 with Jeremy Green, exceptional draft analyst. Logan's like, we got to get this guy on. We've had him on other shows, and like I love talking draft with this dude. And I was like, what am I going to do? Tell you no, Logan? So Jeremy is an ESPN NFL draft analyst. He hosts a radio show out of Asheville, North Carolina, but follows the draft really in-depthly. He actually watches, I think, more tape than anybody that I know. He has a board with 540 guys on it. Logan had to convince him to not do non-priority undrafted free agents. That's how deep his board goes. So this dude spent a lot of time watching guys, but he also spends a lot of time, I think, thinking how they actually fit with the teams. And he's not afraid to buck some trends. And I think the reasons he does that are really, really smart. So I really enjoyed chatting with him. Also, he used to be a stand-up comic and is hilariously entertaining. So without further ado, today's Not My Beat, taking a look at the wide receiver group in the upcoming NFL draft, courtesy of Take Command with Jeremy Green. Let's take a look at some other positions here that Washington could both consider in the first round, but maybe there's some depth in this draft as well in terms of, that second round pick at 61 where they sit, fourth, fifth round. They've got a couple sevenths as well. They currently don't have a third rounder, but we know that Adam Peters is not afraid to move around. But wide receiver, I think, is the other one that a lot of folks look at. If certain guys fall to the end of the first round, that could be interesting, but certainly later in the draft, getting someone who is a younger player in this room, along with Terry McLaurin, and then we'll obviously see what Luke McCaffrey does this year. First of all, Jeremy, is there anybody that you think will realistically available that Washington should consider at 29 at the wide receiver position? And then we can talk about some guys down board.
No. I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm on this receiver class. Because I like Ted McMillan a lot. I'm really glad that he went to his pro day and ran, because if we had lasted 2 or 3 more days, I'm pretty sure he was going to be running in the 5s with what people were talking about with him. So he ran 4. Now I think he goes in the top 10. Matthew Golden is, to me, a really fast version of what Stephon Diggs was when he was coming out, not the all-pro that he became. I hope he can get to that point where he's that kind of impactful player. I'll tell you a funny stat about Golden that really bothers me. Last 5, back to 2020. So this 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drafts. Had 28 first-round wide receivers that have either gone or are projected to go in the first round. So that encompasses the guys this year.
Right.
And I think it was McMillan, Abuka, Burden, and Golden that they lumped in for this year. I don't think all those guys are going in the first round, but for the conversation. Of the 20 receivers that have gone in the first round the last 6 years, no receiver would have averaged less yards per game than Matthew Golden.
Really?
Now, that seems like a super myopic stat. Look at the list and realize that the Jamar Chases, Justin Jeffersons of the world, and every bust that you've gone, how in the world did you fall in love with that guy, was at the bottom of that list. And they were all right above Matthew Golden. So that is one piece of evidence that it does not a story make, but that is something I think to at least talk about. Abuka, I don't think he should go in the second round. I think he should go in the first. I've got a fringe first round grade on him. I just don't think he does anything well enough that he will be that guy that's up at the top of the board as you're going through it. In between days, going up as the best player on the board, he'll wind up with Tennessee or somebody like that at the top of the second round. Now, where things get interesting to me at wide receiver is as time goes on, you get into the second round spot. I love Trey Harris. Trey Harris is poor man's Rome Odunze, and no one will convince me different. I watch them on tape, and they look exactly the same. I don't think either one of you is blindingly fast, settling down in space. Trey's a Z now. He could ultimately be an X. That is a guy I would Washington. Problem is, I don't think he's getting by the because he was the quarterback for Malik Neighbors in high school.
Mm.
And I have a feeling Malik's going to be going, hey, I need somebody that plays on the outside so I can play in the slot. And But then you get into the Alec IU Manor, who, Logan, you and I have talked about.
Yeah.
I love IU Manor. I'm a little stiff, but I think that comes from, like, that's a kid that went through the whole, I don't even know what to call it. It's like the Canadian exchange program, where a kid is a really good high school prospect, and they place him at a high school in America.
Mm.
And then he went to Stanford, and I'm not sure he got the best tutelage at Stanford. And so I think he's going to go into an NFL program, and he's going to get a legit big NFL wide receivers coach. Is going to work with him and really show him nuance, because nuance is the one thing
he doesn't have.
I see he doesn't have the nuance. He has a really high football IQ.
Mm.
When I watch him, he knows where to settle down, and he's always on the same page with the quarterback. And the quarterback wasn't all that good. But then you get into the more, they're very athletically toolsy, but maybe the tape is inconsistent. I'm looking at Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, Torrey Horton out of Colorado State, and then you get it gets very slotty from there. Jalen Noel and Jalen Royals and Jack Betch.
Dude, yeah.
I like all of those guys.
Yeah, they're all good football players, but this kind of goes back to the edge rusher conversation, where it's like, stylistically, like, what are you looking for? And I do think, like, you kind of alluded to it well there. There's only a couple guys that I think are like true outside players. You mentioned Trey Harris, you mentioned Higgins. I think both those guys fall in the category. Alec IU Manor. I think that's
with Higgins.
But I agree. I think that's 100% right. I think he played slot at Iowa State. I think he's a better slot. I think his utilization is like Drake London at the NFL level. However, I do think the physicality is there, that if a team was like, we want you to play off ball Z, like, is that his best position? No, but can he physically do it? I think yes. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like in this, if you're saying, like, can you thing? I look at I love Jalen Noel. Like, he's one of my favorite players in the entire draft, but he can't play outside. You know what I'm saying? He can't play outside. Jack Betch, love his film. I don't want him playing outside ever. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in this world where people need to find the triangle player for your band, right? Like, there's only 3 dudes you mentioned there in the second round that I think are even close to that opportunity. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Jeremy?
Very, very much so. So the thing I would say on Higgins is, so one of my favorite comedians growing up was Mitch Hedberg, and
It's
he
so
had this
funny.
joke about shifts of he was a comedian, and people would ask him if he could act, and he said, you don't look at chefs and go, but can you farm? I look at Jaden Higgins kind of the same way.
Right. Yeah.
I know he can play big, hyper mismatch slot. By the way, big slot is probably the catchphrase of the draft for me, because there's so many of them. Jack Betch that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That is Julian Edelman. If Julian Edelman had rolled around in that ooze that made me Ninja Turtles. Once I say that, you'll never unsee it.
That's true.
I know Jaden Higgins can play that slot role as the big slot, and he's a matchup nightmare. I am curious how much, and this is a question that if I was a scout and I got these guys in the room for those 15-minute interviews at the Combine, I want to know your honest-to-God answer to this. How big is your So when I get you into the building, I know you can play big slot. Well, we've got Deebo Samuel that's going to play out of the slot, but he doesn't always play out of the slot. He can play out wide too. So on those snaps that he plays out wide and you play in the slot, are you going to be okay if some of your reps in practice week to week are outplaying the Z, not necessarily for in the game, because I'm trying to teach you to be the Z. Are you okay running with the twos in those limited practice settings? Because this is helping my backup quarterback. It's also helping you get acclimated to playing Z. Is your plate big enough to take your big slot role in year one and add a Z in my spare time? Your plate big enough for that? Because if it is, I'm all the way in. If it's not, I'm still in. I'm just not in on playing you on the outside. Sense.
Dude, I think that's
I wonder,
exactly
frankly,
right.
had that conversation with Luke McCaffrey last year, and then how that actually went in practice.
Right. Yeah, it's a great point. It's
Look, Logan can attest to this. Just being an NFL football player and doing your job is 100% a full-time job, and it's not a 9 to 5. It is a 24 hours of your day, keeping your body right, keeping keeping your diet right, keeping your workouts right, not overexerting yourself. And so to ask a guy to not only play the position I drafted you for, the thing you can do right now, but also to add this is one of the things I'm very curious about with Travis Hunter. How do you acclimate the practice time?
Totally.
All right, so he's the number one corner. Corner iron sharpens iron. If he's a receiver too, then who practices them? That's a totally different topic. But I think it's in the same vein of what I'm talking about here. There are more X guys as you go down the line.
As we go down, yeah, right.
They're developmental. Like I look at Dante Thornton.
Yeah,
that's all raw talent you could ever want. He's just raw. He's raw, and you're going to have to be patient with him. You're going to have to not do what the New York Giants did with Jalen Hyatt, which is go, hey, you run fast. You can run 9 routes with the best of them, and they never taught him how to do anything else. Just sits on the depth chart, and every year people go, learn to do other stuff? Probably not.
Which, by the way, there was a great quote from Adam Peters the other day. Logan, it made me think of the conversation we had about has your career developed or how your career developed the other day on the show, where he apparently, when John Bates was considering coming back, they told him, like, hey, man, we love what you do as this blocking Y tight end, and we think you're one of the best in the league. But, like, if that's all you are, that's not good enough for us. Hope you become a bigger,
right.
Like, we think there's more pass game upside. We want to develop you, and we know that Peters and Quinn and this staff is big on their development, which is why a guy like Thornton is so fascinating to me, because of course he is. He runs like a 4.3 and he's 6'5", and like there's worse things you can have in your 4th, 5th receiver than a guy who's 6'5" and runs a 4.3 as a starting point. And by the way, hopefully he can tackle enough to have him run real fast on special teams as well in the meantime. But I think that's the interesting thing of, like, some of these, we talk about the traits thing with the edge rushers too. Like, that's important down the list. Like, let's just take a flyer on a guy in the 7th round versus at 29, I want a guy who I know can play football and do a bunch of stuff because I need him to play right now.
It's funny for me that you said that way. I don't know that I've told Logan this at any point, as we've talked a lot about the draft throughout the process. So what you just said is how I do my grades.
Mm-hmm.
So my first round grades are guys that I know for a fact can walk in day one and do what it is that I'm drafting them to do, and they have potential to get better. Second round guys, I feel pretty sure you can do what I'm asking you to do, or I'm not sure you're going to get better. So like Darius Alexander, the defensive tackle. I think his AARP card is already in the mail because I think he and I went to high school at the same time.
He's old. He's an old man. I'm
38. I'm pretty sure we played against each other. So I don't think he's going to get any better. That makes him a second rounder. Even though the tape says first round, he's got that but. And then basically I do that as we tear down of every time a layer peels from that onion of you're going to take some development. I'm not sure there's a lot of upside. And you go down that list. I keep dropping you. Every time a layer comes back, you drop a round.
It's smart. I think it's the way you should do it. I think a lot of national people forget that there is risk, and the first round is about, right? So, like, for example, I've had so many fans ask me about Luther Burton from Missouri, right? And the kind of one big year of production in 2020, the down year in 2024. We talked about a little bit on the show, like a little bit of character, like, and who knows how accurate that is. But I look at that and I say, like, to me, that he's become a second round player because you're no longer managing risk. It's become too risky. You got him in the 3rd round.
3.
Dude, I love it, man. But like, because again, like that, but that's the thing that fans don't understand is, like, I'm making an investment with this first round pick, which objectively has value. If I pick a player, it has to be valuable. And if I trade for it, it's got tremendous value, right? If I trade the asset to another player in the NFL. So that's where I think that's the right way to do it. But I'm like, this player that this team is taking, I think Jalen Walker is a really interesting example of this. There's a risk associated with him because of the uncertainty of what he can be. And so I think that's where I think fans forget that NFL teams are actually making the decision and developing this person and understanding the trajectory in a way that that national media people don't have to worry about the same way, I think.
The thing I will say about national media people is, it's unfair to ask some of these guys that are not draft guys to do the same stuff that draft guys do. There are some of these entities that just they ask their on-air talents, just, hey, what does your mock draft look like? Well, your average commentator doesn't have the nuance
Right.
of like Tampa Bay. This pick, I've had blood come out of my ears multiple times. Of Tampa Bay takes a corner in the first round. Yeah, but they play off-ball zone, and you just took a press man corner.
Right.
And then your excuse is, well, I'm sure Todd Bowles would like to play more press man corner. About that, bro? Because he's never done it ever across 3 teams. Never done it. So I don't think he wants to. That's just a rant for another day. Sorry. I do that. I apologize. I want to go to the Luther Burden that you just said.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought up Jalen Walker and Luther Burden together. So the character issues with Luther Burden can confirm. He is his attitude last year. I think it's so funny how people look at him. People look at him and say, well, the offense got worse and the quarterback play got worse, even though the quarterback's borderline draftable in this class. Everything got worse. So you had a top 10 to 15 tackle on this team. You lost Cody Schrader. That was it. That was your high-end running back from last year. Why do you get a pass on the offense got worse? Why do you not get none of that gravy hits his taters? And I'll never understand
So
why.
let me say this to you real quick, and I think you'll agree with this. Like when you look at Tetro McMillan, the quarterback there played objectively worse last year. But Tetro McMillan,
terrible scheme fit.
Yeah,
but the coach changed. Fish left and went to Washington. In came Brent Brannon, and he didn't fit it as well.
And so, but Tetro McMillan's stats are the same, if not better this year, right? Like he's the same player because he's a dominant perimeter player in this draft, for example. And so that's
he bulked up in 2 games and really narrowed on. He had 2 huge games, and the rest of it was just really good. You also got to remember he had a 5'9" quarterback that was
struggled.
playing in badly. But Jed Fish set that offense up to succeed with Fita and to succeed with Ted McMillan. Brent didn't do that. Now, a year from now, I think he's a coach. But I don't hold that against Ted.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think it's an interesting comparison, him to Luther Burden, right? There's been no decline in production with Tetro McMillan, but Luther Burden, like you're saying, has seen a noticeable difference in production. Top 10 pick. I don't want to say you should be scheme proof because nobody's scheme proof. You should still look somewhat dominant. And that's the thing that I get with Luther Burden that's a little bit hard to negotiate.
Luther Burden for me is what I liked about you mentioning Jalen Walker there. They have kind of the same problem of, I'm not doubting your natural athleticism or your natural God-given ability. What I'm doubting is your role and how I'm for Burden, how I'm going to manufacture your touches. Because you're basically a glorified version of really poor man's Deebo Samuel, maybe slightly wealthier of Laviska Shenault. But can you develop into an actual rapper? Your attitude is kind of a big deal in that because I'm going to have to teach you something that you should have learned 5 years ago. So now it's not just what we were talking about, doing your job. You're not just doing your job. I'm having to teach you how to do your job as well. And you've got to have the commitment and the drive and the want to be better. And all I ever hear are people make excuses for Luther Burden of, well, the offense got worse. I think he's the reason the offense got worse. Because it's hard to get him the ball. He's not a big guy. He's not a good route runner. He really only wins with foot speed and straight line burst, usually coming out of the slot because a guy can't get his hands on him. He gets a step on him. He's not really all that open. That's on you. I can't make you more open. You have to get open. That's your part of the job. I have to get you the ball, but you have to get open in a space where I have a throwing window to get you the ball, and he does a terrible job of that. Every time I watch Luther Burden, he goes down about 10 spots for me. By the end of this, I'm going to have him as a priority undrafted free agent.
If you want the full episode of Take Command, it's available now wherever you get your podcast. Full episode on YouTube at the Team 980, or of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the free Odyssey app. When we get back, it is time for our weekly installment of Never Read the Comments. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too. At the Team 980, extra relevant this segment, Anthony, because it's his time to dive into the comments section. Which also, by the way, love stuff like this in the live chat right now. Someone literally said something. Someone else goes, "Did you miss the earlier discussion?" Yeah, but I don't care. It's my opinion.
Wow.
Why people use YouTube like it's a message board, like it's Reddit, like it's something else, as opposed to like when I want answers to things, when I want to learn something, that's when I go to YouTube because I am searching for things. When I want to give my opinion on something randomly, I go, I might leave a comment on an Instagram post or something like that, but it's wild to me. But thanks for watching, guy. And that's definitely a guy because only a man would do that. Anthony hit the button.
We tried to warn them. They didn't listen.
Yeah!
Every week, the Hoffman Show goes into the belly of the beast.
We read those comments, baby.
Never read the comments.
All right, so here's how this works. There is a radio show that you're watching right now, live on YouTube at the Team 980 if you're watching or listening to. That's obviously on video, and then we cut it up into itsy-bitsy pieces, the segments of the show. We put it online on YouTube, both at the Team 980 and at Craig Hoffman, which is where most of these comments come from, and we see what you have to say. And Anthony, you missed this last week when you were out, but someone commented on the Washington Nationals quiz that we did. Is that guy a Washington National? And for some reason said very nice things about Grant Paulson.
Nice.
Which is great for Grant, but I was like, buddy, this is all very nice, and we're so glad you enjoyed the show, but Grant wasn't as part of this segment.
Nah, he wasn't.
Nope, he wasn't. And then good for Browning Bridges, who's the person who did that. And he commented on last week's Never Read the Comments. Thinking back, I totally remember half listening, pretty toasty all around. I don't think that was reference to the temperature. I feel like that perhaps is reference to his state of mind.
Yeah.
Maybe he and Big Tony had gotten together. If you listen, you listen. If you know, you know. And for some reason thought it was Grant. It was on my phone in small. But as a regular viewer, I'm stoked to have been called out for the boneheaded move. Apologies, Grant and Toby. Keep doing what you do. And Craig, kudos, bro. So, Browning Bridges.
Nice.
Thank you for watching and listening regularly. Thank you for being willing to have fun with yourself when you made a fool of yourself. Because the best thing to do in that situation is laugh and move on like an adult. And you get another shout out for doing just that. Also in the amuse-bouche, just kind of dipping our toe in the water before we dive into the big topics of the week category, Anthony. We had multiple discussions of the Breakers Hotel down in Florida where the owners' meetings was happening because of how nice it is. And apparently, Nothing But the Blues says the Breakers has a great weekend buffet and you don't have to stay there to enjoy it. So if you ever find yourself in Palm Beach and want some of the Breakers experience, the NFL owners' hotel of choice down there, you can stay at the Holiday Inn or the Hilton or the whatever insert brand Marriott that wants to sponsor the show here across the street, and then go get the buffet.
That is insane. Where's this at again?
It's in Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, I've never been to Palm Beach, but best believe I go there.
You're
I
going
will
for
be
the
taking
buffet.
full advantage of it.
You love a buffet, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's not a lot not to like. That's what I have to say about that. All right, we'll get to some of the football comments in a second, but one of the big topics of the week, obviously, Anthony, was the Maryland coaching situation, including the hiring, eventually, of Buzz Williams, and chose to pick out some comments on that versus diving back in for the 800th time to the Kevin Willard part of the equation because, well, he's gone and we've moved on at this point. Maryland fans seem mostly excited. Bob Murray, 5671. I have very good feelings about Buzz as the new coach. The testimony of his former players and his record is stunning. again, these are too stupid to make up. I'm reading the screen name as it presents itself, Anthony. Ham Lover 17 says, you like ham? You a ham guy?
I do not like ham.
Oh, all right. Well, Ham
like
Lover
green eggs,
17. I'd love to meet Ham Lover 16. Ham Lover 17 says, I feel like everyone is down on this hire, but this program is a pile of ash right now. I'm happy to have an experienced bridge guy like Buzz to rebuild our program. And that's kind of where I think I am with this, where I look at Buzz Williams and I do not have a misgiving about who he is. I am not like, this is the next Gary Williams who's going to be here for 20 years. I also don't think that he is Todd Golden, the Florida coach, who is like the next young up-and-comer who is going to just be an amazing coach who takes you to a Final Four. And I'm not saying Buzz can't. Buzz isn't a bad coach. Buzz is a very solid coach. But I think Buzz is a program builder. I think in a time where Maryland had very limited options because of their timeline, in some ways the success of Kevin Willard actually hurt this program this year because they wound up making it to that second weekend after a lot of the coaching cycle had already turned over. And you add that onto their AD situation and some of the fights that Willard was having that other coaches certainly would have known about, whether Willard made them public or not, with the athletic department, which every Maryland insider we talked to said it's an open secret that Maryland's athletic department is a problem in terms of how they've treated the basketball program over the years and the resources that they don't have to compete at the highest level, even since they moved to the Big Ten. Like, I think Buzz is the right guy for the right time. Now, as those words come out of my mouth, I have horrifying flashbacks to saying, similar things about Ron Rivera, where I'm like, I don't know, maybe he's the right guy at the right time. And in some ways, Ron helped guide the ship through the sale and that kind of stuff. But I also looked at Ron's record in Carolina and was like, when Cam Newton was the best player in the world, like, he took him to a Super Bowl and that was great. But I actually don't think this guy's that great of a coach. I think Buzz is better coaching college basketball than Ron Rivera was NFL football. But I do think that sometimes institutional knowledge and the ability to be self-sufficient is important. And the other thing with Rivera was, not, again, sometimes I feel bad because I feel like I'm bringing up old stuff, but like, Rivera took on the GM stuff and he had never done that before. Buzz, he doesn't, like, the fact that there's no AD doesn't matter to him. Like, he is going to be very self-contained within his own thing. And no matter what's going on around him, he's probably going to reach the same levels of success that he has earlier. And if he has a good relationship with the AD and that person gives him some of the stuff that he may not have even had in other places, or for whatever reason he can find a little bit more here, get lucky even on a recruit or two, maybe he's even better than he's ever been before. What I think is interesting is, Anthony, the other comments that found their way to our comments section. Zach Kint, 2711, who is a Texas A&M fan, says, if you like winning 20 games but never having success in March, he's your guy. Buzz Williams has an offense that doesn't work, won't get you past the first or second round, can't recruit and evaluate shooters. Doesn't even have the offense for three-point shooters. I'm not sad at all. If his season sucked next year, we were going to can him anyway. Sounds like a guy who doesn't care that the coach is gone, right? Just no bitterness in that comment at all.
But I said, that's harsh, man. Went the last 3 years, didn't they?
Yeah, which is exactly what he did everywhere else. Here's Buzz Williams' track record. Let me pull this up real quick just so I can get the exactness of this. So at Marquette, he took over in 2008, 2009, went to the second round. And this is after 1 year at New Orleans. So 1 year in New Orleans, then goes to Marquette. Round of 32, he lost in the first round the next year. Back-to-back Sweet 16s, Elite 8 in 2012, 2013. Then 2014, 13-14, they missed the tournament, and he bounces for Virginia Tech. First year, misses the tournament. Everything's a disaster because he inherited a bit of a disaster. NIT next year, and then he goes first round exit, Sweet 16 by his fifth year. And again, that's under the old rules where it took multiple years to get your guys in, and transfers had to sit out a year and the whole deal. At A&M, he goes, misses the tournament, NIT, first round, second round, and now he's gone to Maryland. So at every single school he's ever been to, their trajectory has generally gone up. At Marquette, there's the one bad year at the end. Virginia Tech, he leaves on a high. A&M, he kind of leaves on a high. Last 2 years, he was the same, but he was better in the regular season this year than he was the year before. They finished 5th in a loaded SEC.
Yeah, I just think people hate. People hate.
They do. Hate away. Not your problem anymore. Doesn't stop you from chiming in. It's always my favorite, is the chasers. Can't help but going on someone else's lawn and yelling about whatever. I lost that analogy midway through, but.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going, but
yeah.
I'm here with you now.
Yeah. I was trying to complete it in my head and never got there. So if you're here with me now, Anthony, we're going to leave ourselves here and we're going to go on to the next topic.
Yes, sir.
Next topic, and never read the comments. The tush push. Should it be banned? Should it not? That was the question NFL owners considered this week. They ultimately decided to, ironically, push the decision until May. They need 24 votes to ban it. 16-16 was the vote currently. So can the ban side, whether you consider that the yays or the nays, can they push it across the line, no pun intended, in May? JW Carroll 6378 says, if we're banning the tush push because piles of bodies are deemed dangerous, then ban quarterback sneaks. It's an obvious formation that isn't any less chaotic. I agree with the option of banning guys from pushing the ball carrier, which is what I said, which is why he says that he agrees. Easy does it 74. That's my thoughts as well. Their offensive line is basically in the neutral zone pre-snap, and the defense doesn't really have much they can do to legally stop it, in my opinion. And I think if we can just be honest about the fact that we're taking away something that is very advantageous for the offense in a sport where the rules generally favor the offense in an effort to give the defense a little bit more of a chance, then we can have that discussion and make that argument. But I was listening to New Heights today, which, of course, is the Kelsey Brothers podcast, Anthony. And there's a particular expert on the tush push on that show because Jason Kelsey was the guy at the bottom of the pile for multiple years. And basically, the analogy he used in terms of the strain, I'm not going to repeat on this show. I'll tell you in the break. But he said it's not nearly as dangerous as like you're blocking on a run play and you get rolled up on. Like, that's not what happens. It's just a lot of strain on a play. And he's like, it's not fun, but I never felt like I was at some huge injury risk. Piles of bodies happen all the time. I'm not going to get rolled up on. You just have to keep your legs going and grinding, and it's really hard to like execute. But the Eagles coach it really well. They do it better than everyone else, and their quarterback is a bulldozer. And so they're also, if you ban the tush push and make everybody quarterback sneak, the Eagles will probably be better at quarterback sneak than everyone else too, as long as Jalen Hurts and Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line coach, are there. So I think what you're trying to do is ask, is this too much of an advantage for offenses in general, as opposed to specifically punishing the Eagles? And if the answer is yes, then I'm fine with banning it. But let's just be honest about why we're banning it, which isn't injury concern, because that's silly. Unless people are going to try to start doing crazy stuff to stop it that puts people at risk. Or that it's a rugby play, which just tells me you've never watched rugby, because people who actually play rugby look at it and go, that's nothing like rugby.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be an ongoing discussion. Like, I don't think there'll ever be a resolution for it. I mean, obviously there will be. Like, they're either going to ban it or not, but I don't think it's going to get banned. Like,
if they don't ban it this year, I want a moratorium on trying to ban it for 3 years, barring some catastrophic injury change in data. And I just don't want to have this discussion every offseason. It's stupid. Robert Borgenson 1821 says, I'm no Philly fan, but we should not be banning plays because one team has perfected it. Every team has the opportunity to do just that by bringing in the correct personnel and dedicating a ton of practice time to it. Other areas of your team will suffer because you dedicate so many resources to it, but that's the trade-off. Other teams can do it if they want. That simple. Now, if it breaks the game because every team is doing it, there's discussion to be had. Right now, it's just teams ticked off because the Eagles do it better than them. And I think there's some truth to that. I definitely think that there's some teams that are just like, we don't want to have to deal with this. The Eagles are the best team in football. How do we cut them off at the knees? And I think that there probably is some of that. Again, I slightly favor banning it because I just think it's so, even though the Eagles are better than everyone else, it is a higher percentage play than a regular quarterback sneak. And I think regular quarterback sneaks are fine. Other than that, I think everyone's just telling on themselves and making stuff up to try to undercut the Eagles. But I at least am trying to be honest about the reasons why. And some people, I think a lot of people try to agree with me or tend to agree with me on that.
I think so.
All right, a couple more on the way out here. Rule changes in general. We talked about some of them, including, Anthony, the Hawkeye system, which is now going to be used by the NFL to determine first downs. And I was talking about, like, I wonder if there'll be chips in the ball and this whole thing. And apparently, Anthony, the answer is no. I appreciate this clarification, I'm going to call it, from D SportsWiz. Craig got tricked by the NFL story on Hawkeye in the same way the league hopes to trick fans. They will not use the technology to spot the ball. They will only use it to measure after the refs place the ball. Why can't they just fix what fans hate? No one was complaining about the poor chain gang. I agree using a chip in the ball freeze frame video would be closer to what we need. Which I think opens two discussions. One, then why are they doing this? And two, is the chip in the ball, I almost called it my way, but I didn't invent chips or multi-camera freeze frame systems. I just said it. So the chip in the ball system better. That part's easy. Of course it would be better. If they have the ability to freeze frame, the knee is down here. At this point, there's a chip in the ball that says the ball should be here. The first line down line is here, not first down or first down. That seems fairly straightforward and fairly idiotic if they don't do it. And maybe you put the chip in the middle of the ball, and that way like the chip is here, thus the ball, but I guess the angle of the ball, like it is more complicated, I think, the chip thing than I'd want to make it. But we're also in 2025. The stuff we can do with technology is insane, and I find it a really, really hard thing to imagine that we can't possibly figure that out. What this is going to eliminate, though, is apparently about 40-ish seconds per time that the chain gang would come out. This whole process is going to take like 30 seconds, and there will be a replay on the broadcast and in the stadium in the same way that there is in tennis. If you watch a tennis match and they've got the in-out stuff and everyone's like, they do the whole thing, and then they like, oh, yay, depending on if they like the call or not. But apparently they're going to spot the ball and then use the Hawkeye system from there. So we're still possibly going to have the situation that we had in Buffalo last year where the bad spot is the issue. And I think that's the thing that like is really frustrating. It's like the issue isn't necessarily once you spot the ball, can we tell with the chains, or do we need this technology? We don't need the chains were fine for that. They just take forever. And so if we're speeding up the game, I am for that. The problem is we got a bunch of relatively old men compared to the athletes out there in an incredibly fast-moving game trying to accurately spot the ball. And sometimes they really badly miss that. And we need to fix that part of the whole process.
Yeah, that's all I can think about. The refs misspotting the ball just like they did when the Commanders played the Steelers, because they end up
was crazy. That was when they had like 3 in a row, right?
Yeah.
It's terrible. Awful. So let's fix that. All right, wrapping up here with some fun at the end. First of all, a great eye by Robert Brown 9107. Anthony commented on one of our Take Command episodes that I recorded from home. We often do those in the morning, so frequently at the beginning of Take Command, you will see me downing the end of my coffee. And then hopefully the episode gets better as we go and the caffeine kicks in. But Robert goes, nice Polish cup. It truly is a Polish pottery cup. Rachel got those when she visited Poland years ago. Like actual Polish, not Polish style. Those were purchased in Poland.
Oh, that's dope.
So, Robert, good eye out of you. More feedback, Anthony, on is that guy a Washington National? From Tariq McDaniels, 73-86. Hold on, I need to be able to read this and see your face on the screen at the same time. Anthony is hilarious. To which I responded, most of the time, not even on purpose. Which Tariq says, that's what makes it funny. He really thinks he's right.
I know. It's bad.
If you...
I really thought I was killing it.
You certainly did. If you have not watched the full segment, and this one's worth watching. Sometimes you just got to find the podcast. I mean, it's still funny in audio. Anthony, I'm not going to lie. I very rarely, especially right after the show, if there's something I want to see how we did, like I'll review tape of us. I'll go back and watch something or listen to something. I listened to that segment as soon as I got in my car.
Yeah.
I could not wait to listen back to that because that is one of the funniest things we've ever done. Is That Guy a Washington National? Find it on YouTube. It's so worth your time. And then, speaking of something that's worth your time, even though it's going to take a lot more time to watch, the conversation that I had with Sam Fortier has now been up, where folks have been able to chime in on it, about ownership in sports and whether or not it's the X factor when it comes to creating a winning franchise. And Chad Fuckelroy, which sounds like one of those names that you're not supposed to say out loud, but Chad Fuckelroy, 2015, says, this was a very insightful and thoughtful discussion. It's unfortunate you're a Washington reporter, but absolute respect. He's a Cowboys fan.
I was about to say.
And he's sad that he just had to be like, you Washington guys are very smart. And I think he wants us to talk about his team more because then he could have smart people talking about his team. Or us. Not to say that though, isn't me. I'm not trying to start a media war with the Dallas folks. That you got smart people down there talking about your team. You don't necessarily have the smartest guy running your team, but that is what it is. And that's never read the comments. That's how it goes down. You can leave your comment on YouTube at Craig Hoffman, also at the Team 980. We take a look at both on Take Command and, of course, episodes here of The Hoffman Show. Also starting to put on YouTube, by the way, some of our big interviews from Chris Russell and Kevin Sheehan. I know Sheehan's show will be streaming live here very shortly, so now is as good a time as ever to subscribe at the Team 980 for us on the old YouTube if you so desire. Of course, we all have our podcasts as well. You can search The Hoffman Show in your favorite podcast app. That way, if you miss any part, you can catch up at your leisure. When we get back here on the Team 980, Dave Johnson joins us from the broadcast booth over at Capital One Arena, head of Wizards and Magic tonight. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980, and it is a Wizards game day. Tomorrow, Capitals game day. Ovi, a hat trick from history, and it could happen here on the Team 980. Sunday's game against the Blackhawks is here as well, so with the Nats starting, we're just going to get real lucky here where we might just have some history on our airways. So don't miss the Caps. And, of course, don't miss the Wizards tonight taking on the Magic. Anthony and I are actually headed over to the game afterwards, and we might just have to stop by where our next guest is joining us from, live from the broadcast booth. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time to bring in Dave Johnson.
Right corner, Kismet open for three. It's there.
Time to get the radio party started.
Feeds now the right block of Alsar. Slam.
It's time for Dave Johnson on a Wizards game day.
Blocked by Koulibaly. Left wing George. 3 on the clock for 3. It's there.
Feel like busting loose. Busting loose.
Crossover step back 3. Oh. Jordan Poole. You are cool.
Feel like busting loose. Busting loose now.
On the Hoffman Show.
For the second straight day. Hello, Dave.
Hello there, and listen, appropriate, of course, all year long. It's go-go music. It's DC music that leads into our little segment together. But I think about last night, and I'm not making fun about this, but it's part of the development, part of the journey. Basically, the Capital City Go-Go pulled that game out at the end. Yes, Bob Carrington was on the floor, but there was a lot of go-go influence that helped secure the win over the Sacramento Kings. And you know what? We described our expert analysis as we broke down the game 7 ways to Sunday. We just said, you know what? That was fun last night, and it was fun to see the joy. Did you call JT Thor with the game-winning 3? Essentially, no. That was not on my bingo card, as hip kids like to say, even though I haven't played bingo in 40 years. But the point being, this is what it's about. You show up. Sacramento, I don't know what's going on with them. They're pushing for a playoff spot, but the Wizards pushed back last night, and now tonight it's a real challenge with the Orlando Magic in town. They're in a playoff position. They're trying to hold on to the 7th spot, and with Banchero and Wagner, they feel like they got something going in Orlando.
They sure do, and I'm glad you mentioned last night's game, Dave, because I was able to watch the end of that, and it was very cool to see how that game ended. I will just say real quick, because I can't let a good sidebar go. I think the last time I played bingo was in Las Vegas with Alicia Clark and Kia Stokes.
Oh, wow.
Because we were visiting Alicia, and it was Las Vegas, and we went and played bingo. And I think Alicia and Kia became borderline obsessed with bingo after that. I don't think they ever won. Alicia, I'm so sorry for telling that to everyone, except for you told everyone on the internet that you never win, so it's fine. End of sidebar. The point is, Dave, last night, I think one of my favorite things that I saw on the broadcast that I was able to witness watching on TV versus I'm sure you saw the same thing from your perch is every single timeout, A.J. Johnson or Bub, like those guys are getting greeted halfway out on the floor by Jordan Poole, who seems perfectly fine not closing out that game. I assume we see more of him tonight. The back-to-back is here, but to see the mentorship, the togetherness, and to see them pull that out, like you said, without their quote-unquote best players truly on the floor, that is invaluable experience for these young guys. Was there anything specifically that you're able to pull out of that where you're like, oh, that's the first time I've seen that guy do that, or maybe something that because you call every minute all year long, there was a situation where you saw something earlier in the year where a Bub Carrington maybe had the moment be a little too big for him because he's 19 years old and in the NBA, and that happens, and then last night he's able to pull it off, or someone else that fits for.
Well, no, what you bring up a good point. I mean, he had 5 3-pointers last night, and he took I remember the one he took at the end of the third quarter. That's typically a Jordan Poole time, or once upon a time your Kyle Kuzma time, or whatever. And so it's great to see a Bub Carrington in that situation say, no, I've played big boy minutes all season long, and I'm going to seize this big boy moment, if you will. And that's what's happening. Look, there's no way to spin the fact you only have 15, 16 wins or whatever. I understand that. But the fearlessness that these players have infused in their body, that doesn't happen unless you have your rookies playing close to 7,000 minutes, 2,000 more than any other team. Or an A.J. Johnson. Some of the plays he made, again, fourth quarter basketball. And the Kings amped it up. They were blitzing and they were ambushing and double teaming because we've seen it before. A team that, and right now the Kings are in the playoff mix, that believes it should be in the playoff mix. They may be losing for 3 quarters, but the fourth quarter is supposed to be their time to flex. And they got guys like DeMar DeRozan, who, by the way, did have like 18 fourth quarter points, yet the Wizards still prevailed because the moment was not too big for all those players. And there is just, you can have summer camps till you're blue in the face and run drills left, right, and center. There's no way to replicate what these guys have faced all year. I was talking with Chase Hughes, our good friend, about Bilal Coulibaly, thinking about some of his defensive challenges, whether it's Trae Young or why De'Aaron Fox is so tough to cover. The point being, you go through this, and there's no way to replicate it. But having said that, to go through this, you're not going to have a winning record if you throw 20-year-olds out on the court, which is essentially what the Wizards have. And as we continue to see more from A.J. Johnson, we realize what a rookie class we're talking about. When you're talking about Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, and A.J. Johnson, I think it's significant that the Wizards now have the only 3 rookies in history that have had 103s in their rookie season. Part of that's getting playing time, but look, they're making shots, and they're good percentage shots. It's not just because they're taking bad shots. We're talking Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, and Keyshawn George. So this is you feel good about these young players because they're exciting and they are fearless. And why are they fearless? Is because they either are fearless, they either show they can do it, otherwise they're going to get embarrassed and they don't belong in the league. But that's not happening. And it's like we talked with A.J. Johnson post-game. They understand. This is their moment. This is their opportunity. A.J. Johnson was playing with Wisconsin Herd. He was not in the Milwaukee Bucks rotation. He comes here, and they're saying, you're on an NBA court in a real game. And he realizes this is his opportunity. These guys, it's what their whole lives have revolved around, probably for better than a decade. And now they're getting their chance.
Yeah, and AJ played 37 minutes last night, so he's getting a ton of opportunities. Last guy I'll ask you about, Dave, talk about toughness, fearlessness. Tristan Vukcevic was ready to fight Malik Monk last night.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to mess with any dudes from Eastern Europe. I'm good on that. Clearly a fearlessness there, clearly a toughness there, clearly a you're not going to mess with me, I don't care that you're you and I'm me attitude from here. But also, he had 17 points and plays really good basketball. What have you continued to see? Because it feels like about a year ago, it was late in the year that we're like, hey, they're bringing over that second rounder. Like, what are we gonna see from him? Second round picks don't work out very often. This is a guy that very much feels like a part of the Wizards' future.
No, definitely, because he's a guy that you don't have to run a play for him. He's a smart player, but what you were talking about defensively, made a big play late when DeRozan was driving and defended without fouling. So that's a critical play. And defending without fouling is a big challenge for young players in this league when you're going up against a guy like DeRozan who has a bag of tricks to know how to get to the free throw line. But you can see Vukcevic being a guy that you throw off the bench and he's going to get you maybe a double-double, 17 points and 10 rebounds or whatever. He's smart. He can make the three. He can, he's what the league just goes bananas over right now. Big guys that can take you out on the perimeter. So, we were excited last year, and of course, then this year he started injured and spent a lot of the year with a go-go. But now, basically, he's only better doing what he did last spring for this Wizards team. And you talk about the atmosphere around the team. Marcus Smart was coaching every play last night. You talk about toughness and what they're going to learn from what they are learning from their time with Marcus Smart, because who knows where Marcus Smart is going to be when we're having conversations in October. But the fact they got Smart and Middleton into the room, if you will. They always say hockey. They say the room, right? That's into the building, I guess. Believe me, you can't quantify that, at least not now.
No, and it's something that in talking to some of the executives before the season that they feel like they kind of missed on last year wasn't the young players. They were like, man, wish we had done something differently there. Right. It was the vets that they wanted to make sure they got exactly right this year, and it seems like they have, and they've only improved on it somehow throughout the season. Dave and Glenn on the call coming up about half an hour from right now. Dave will be in the building tonight. I'll try to swing by and say hello if we can find the time and not interrupt you, doing your job. But thanks as always for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Well, and by the way, when you stop by, you'll say hello to Scott Trenner, who's with me tonight. He generously donated to Miracle for Melanie. It's a wonderful charity that helps wounded warriors, and believe it or not, he actually bid on being with me tonight. So I hope I hope it's worth his time. But Miracle for Melanie is a charity started by the Strudler family that have connections with our organization, the Capitals, and it does so much for a wounded warrior. So I just wanted to mention that.
I love that. Hopefully that the shout out you just gave him on our show is worth like an extra $1, or at least one of the dollars or something. But that's great. Scott, thanks for doing that. If you're wearing a headset, and have fun with Dave tonight. Dave, thank you, sir.
It was a weaker moment.
I love it. All right, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in an hour. Thank you very much, Dave Johnson and Scott, who bid on the chance to sit with Dave tonight. Is there from the broadcast booth at Capital One Arena. When we get back, big night in the NBA generally. LeBron versus Steph. Lakers versus Warriors tonight. We will discuss briefly before we have real things, real people said in real microphones. But first, the latest on the world of women's sports presented to you by Wawa. Chicken how you wanna at Wawa with crispy or roasted chicken sandwiches. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Lakers, Warriors tonight. We'll talk about that actually a little bit more coming up at 6:30. We're, of course, headed over to the Wizards Magic game after we're done here tonight. Be fun to hang out with some of the fellas from this station and from across the hall at the Fan. So we're having a little field trip, I guess, Anthony? What do we call this?
I guess this is a sort of kind of a field trip.
Yeah, group field trip. Be a good time.
We're getting on the train, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be there. But also some NFL news. Also, I got to say this real quick. I just saw two things on Instagram that kind of blew my mind, and I feel the need to talk about them. And then if we want to do the Geno Smith thing and the Joe Milton thing, we can. But this is way more entertaining and way more interesting to me, even if it's way less important. Did you know, Anthony, that Auburn's starting five is older than two NBA teams' starting fives?
I know it was older than one. I didn't know it was older than two.
Yeah, it's older than the Wizards. It's also older than the Hawks starting five.
Oh, wow. Is this with Trey included?
Yes. So, did I just lose it? Son of a gun. I lost the post. But yeah, older than the Trey, and then also older than the Wizards. That includes with Jordan Poole at the just ancient age of 25 in the lineup. But it's like Champagny, who's 23, Bub, who's 19, Sarr, who's 19, and who do they count as the other starter? Oh, AJ, who's 20.
God dang.
Yeah. The other crazy college basketball stat that I saw earlier today is, did you see the Houston team's mile times?
Like how fast they run a mile?
Yes.
It's probably something ridiculous.
It's stupid.
They're well conditioned. I would say, if I had to guess, maybe like 5:15.
You're pretty close. Houston's team average is 5:19. 5:19. The fastest time is 5:07.
Good gracious.
From a dude who's 6'3", 196. The slowest time from someone who is 6'9", 260 pounds.
6:20.
5:45.
Oh my God. The whole team is sub-6?
Yeah. And look, I don't know how well mile times convert to basketball conditioning necessarily. I don't know that that's the optimal distance that I would test and draw the strongest correlation to. Like
maybe 2-3.
This is the kind of stuff that I love thinking about because I'm a gigantic fitness nerd. When it comes to this stuff, is like my coach brain, not as an athlete. I mean, I care about this stuff as an athlete too, but like my coaching brain, like these are the conversations that Chris Gorez and I have all the time. My fitness podcast co-host, especially because he is like a human supercomputer on the math side of it. But if you were to pick, like, would you want the team with the average fastest 100, 200, 400, 800 mile or 2 mile time? I actually don't know that mile wouldn't be the one that I want because that's like a lot of really high speed running for a long time. Maybe the 800, because like the thing is, obviously you're not even running 100 meters on a court, but you have to consistently run.
Yeah, I think I would lean 8 to the mile. But
I think that's probably the right range.
What about the teams that play, I don't know, like Janai Broome playing 35 minutes? Maybe the 2 mile at that point.
Well, that's the thing is like the conditioning you need to and then the thing is, though, if we could figure that out, if somehow we were able to take all teams in the NCAA tournament and be like, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to test you on your 100s, your 200s, and then we're going to see success-wise, like, how you did all year and whatever, and like see if we can find a correlation, right? Some idiot strength coach would then take that data and be like, I'm going to train my basketball players to be the best milers. And it's like, no. Causation, correlation, different things.
Yeah, they missed the point.
Miss the entire point. But I do think it's like there probably is one that would, obviously there is, like, one is going to have a stronger correlation than the others by nature, that one is going to finish But I wonder if it's the same. It would be like the same 1 year over year because like the ability to go hard for a long time. I mean, playing hard is a skill. It's conditioning. And like sometimes I think we forget that part about sports, as silly as it sounds, is like we take for granted that these guys are in shape. But you go play or you go watch them play in person where you can really like understand how dog ass tired these guys get during games. And you realize that a team that is physically conditioned optimally is going to be able to operate at higher speeds with less mental fatigue late in games. And so, again, like, I don't know how abnormal the Houston mile times are, but I would guess that most teams are not. Certainly not all teams are going to be sub 6 for everybody. That's crazy. A dude that's 6'9", I mean, I know he's got long strides, but 6'9", 260 running a 5:45 mile, that's so fast.
It is. And Craig, to be honest, I'll be the one to tell you, being able to run a fast mile doesn't mean that, you're well conditioned to play, a full basketball game.
No. Also doesn't make you any good at basketball.
Nah, not at all. Because
think of your average really good miler and how bad they would be on a basketball court.
I mean, I don't know.
Like, I'm talking like the skinny dudes that hold the world record. Jakob Ingebrigtsen's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
He would probably not be that good at basketball.
Probably not.
One dude who's got like a little bit of girth to him, just on the post, bing, he's in the next country. Also, sometimes runners aren't the most coordinated.
Yeah, that too.
The whole catching. That's another thing that people take for granted and how good. Like, you go watch bad ball and compared to, like, pro ball, and you see, like, the passing and the catching. Underrated skills. Or, like, that's the difference between major and minor league baseball. Go to a minor league baseball game, routine ground ball to short. Where's that ball going to go? I don't know. Might go 7 feet over the first baseman's head. Sometimes it happens. Happens way more often in minor league ball than it does in major league ball, which is why the major leaguers are the major leaguers and the minor leaguers are the minor leaguers. Major League Baseball, ground ball to third, every single time. Boop. Right on target. Or the first baseman makes up for it because he's also professional. That concludes Craig on Sports. But I thought that was bananas. 6'9", 260, running a 5:45 mile.
Yeah, I think it's impressive.
Yeah, I think.
Are you running a sub 6?
Hell no.
I used to be able to.
I'm kind of curious what my mile time would be right now. I haven't done a lot of speed stuff lately. I was building more volume towards High Rocks, and I ran slow because of it, but I finished the race and don't feel like death afterwards, which was kind of my goal. You give me like, I actually want to, like, my next goal, to the extent that I have one right now, like, I want to improve like my 5K and mile times. So I'm about to get some speed work in. So we'll check back in on that later this summer.
If you want to run with me, I'll do a mile with you. I don't know if I'm running sub 6 anymore, but I wouldn't mind putting it to the test.
I could pace you for the first 800.
Okay.
I think I could run a 3-minute 8. Maybe.
That's fast.
Well, I mean, that's a 3-minute 800. That's what you need to run a 6-minute mile.
Yeah, you're right.
I could definitely run a 90-second 400. That I've done.
I would hope you could.
That
Craig.
I've done recently, and I don't. That's not even like max effort.
All right.
That's not max effort. It's closer to max effort than I want it to be. But we'll get that straightened out. We'll be much faster than that very soon. That concludes Craig on Fitness. Up next, Craig plays for you real things, real people said in real microphones, and he stops referring to myself in the third person. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well in the free Odyssey app. Wrapping up here, final 10 minutes. Anthony playing Curtis Blow's basketball.
We headed to a basketball game, baby.
We are. I was finishing up responding to somebody on the internet and in the social media responses, and I knew that we were coming back because I had the speakers on, obviously, because that's how a radio studio works. But I just hear through the allegedly soundproof glass, Anthony go, "Basketball is my favorite sport," and I'm like, "Whoa."
My apologies, sir.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. As long you rapping, especially like 1980s level rapping, fine. You singing, never again.
Oh man, yeah.
That's how the rules work, Anthony.
That's not my strong suit.
Self-awareness apparently has suddenly become that. Tonight we got Wizards Magic here on the Team 980. By the way, the Nats are back home. They are taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks tomorrow. That'll be over on 106.7 The Fan, which means tomorrow's game against the Chicago Blackhawks for the Capitals, which could, if he scores a hat trick, see Alex Ovechkin break the NHL's all-time scoring record. That will be here on the Team 980. We will also have for you the game on Sunday. Sunday is a game at New York, 12:30 p.m. Puck drop. That is at the Islanders out there. And, oh, God, what's it called? I've been to that UBS Arena. I haven't actually been to the arena. I've been to the Long Island Railroad stop right there because I got family in the area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so there you go. I think it's Hempstead. I don't really remember. Anyone that knows it is now either like, you're correct or you're a buffoon. And everyone else is like, we don't care. Tonight in the NBA, you also have, Anthony, beyond the clear game of the night, Wizards and Magic. We got a couple other good ones, including the Warriors and Lakers tonight, 10 o'clock on TNT. Lakers favored by 1.5 at home. All the stars should be out. We should have Luka, should have LeBron, should have Steph, should have Jimmy. And this game is enormous for playoff seedings. We're kind of at that point where every game is enormous for playoff seedings. Right now, the Lakers are sitting in the 3 seed with a 2-game lead on Golden State and a virtual tie with Denver. They have played 2 less games than the Nuggets. So right now they currently are 46 wins, 29 losses. Denver 47 wins, but 30 losses. So they come out even, if you will, in the standings.
Lakers on that tiebreaker too.
Yeah, and the Lakers on the tiebreaker. So they are currently sitting at the 3 seed. If you're the 3 seed, you avoid likely Golden State in the first round. Of course, if the Warriors win tonight and they can get up to that 4 seed, who knows? They're currently the 5 seed. But that 4-5 matchup is going to be the hardest, obviously, in the first round. And you're talking about the teams in contention there are the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Timberwolves.
Man.
Yikes. Not that the 3-6 matchup's going to be easy. Like if you're the 3 seed and you avoid the Nuggets, let's say, that means you get the Timberwolves in the first round. But I'd much rather play them than I would the other 3 teams. As good as they were in the playoffs last year. And then if you win that opening round series, you then get the reward of playing the Thunder in the second round. And nobody wants that. They won by 1 million again last night. They're averaging 120 points per game on the season and giving up 107.
Ridiculous. It's getting out of hand, Craig.
It's crazy. If they win out, they win 70 games.
Man.
And they're 6 away. They would also close the regular season on a 17-game winning streak.
Yeah.
So Lakers Warriors, I beg your pardon. Big one tonight.
What time is that one?
10 o'clock. So we can watch it when you get home. Except for you already told me you're going to bed early. So we can watch it tomorrow on demand.
There we go.
Do that. Tomorrow on the show, probably have some coverage of some preview of Ovi. Remind me tomorrow, Anthony. Swino. We got to get Steve Wino on the show.
Sir.
We're looking at NCAA women's hoops tomorrow night. So that we can preview. Weekend preview brought to you by
Nobody, Craig.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a sponsor on board before tomorrow. And other than that, Anthony, any more housekeeping that we need to do?
No.
Okay. The Wizards starting lineups just got in. Let me quickly, because it's in my email, pull that up. For the Wizards tonight, Marcus Smart is playing. Marcus Smart, Bub Carrington, A.J. Johnson, Justin Champagnie, Alex Sarr. Jordan Poole is out tonight. Injury management for a right elbow contusion. Chris Middleton out tonight, continuing to stay out as well. Magic, they got most folks available. They got Corey Joseph, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter. Jalen Suggs out with the left knee injury. Then obviously Mo Wagner has been out with the torn ACL. So that's the Zardos tonight. Now time for real things.
Real things.
We're not gonna be sucked this year.
Real people.
5-11, not very good.
Set into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
So many good ones in the folder today. There's one that I want to talk about more in depth tomorrow, so we'll save that one. But we got some pretty funny ones, including yesterday in the Cavs game. They beat the Knicks last night. Jared Allen got out on a fast break. The big old center, long, lanky, great afro, and Anthony, he tried to hit the LeBron, bring it out here,
the signature
boom.
dunk.
The signature LeBron dunk. How'd that go, Jared?
Honestly, I was telling them I wanted to look like Bron trying to bring it back. I looked at the replay, nothing close.
Self-awareness. Like you, Anthony. Self-awareness high.
Hey, look.
It's easier when you're doing video review of yourself, too. You're like, oh, that's not what I thought. I think that's one of the things, like, LeBron makes that look so easy. Like, it's clearly powerful and beautiful, and, like, the way he does it, the power with which he does it is different. But I don't think people even realize, like, getting in that position just to be like, it's all the way out here. You got to be in the air a long time to be able to bring it back.
I don't have that in my bag.
I mean, give me like an 8-foot rim, and 10 years ago, maybe.
All right.
But I also probably would look at the replay of it and be like, damn, I'm Jared Allen, not LeBron James. Quentin Post is not Stephen Curry. Quentin Post is a Warriors rookie who a couple nights ago got the halftime interview, even though Steph had lost his mind. Steph ultimately finished with 52 and 12 threes. And Quentin Post was confused as to why he was given the headset going into the locker room on the Warriors broadcast.
Tell us about the intensity of that first half.
I don't know why I'm here. Steph got 40 points, but
because you're a rookie, we don't make him stop.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
That's so good from Bob Fitzgerald, the play-by-play guy for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Just, hey man, because you're you and he's him.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about him, you can. But he gets to keep going. If he wants to talk, he will. But unless he picks up the headset, we're like, hey, rookie, earn your check. Yeah. All right. That's our show. We don't have time to play any of the other bites. So that's our show. If you missed any part of it, check out the podcast. Anthony, we haven't done this in a while. What was your favorite part of the show today? We got 15 seconds left.
Probably talking about the running backs early in the first hour.
That was good. If you want some good Commanders talk, hour 1 today, check out the podcast. Search the Hoffman Show wherever you get yours. Fresh episode of Take Command available too. And we'll see you tomorrow here on the Team 980 Wizards Basketball.